Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Oh yeah, what's up, Vegas? It is Monday. It's Vegas Take Time. Sharp and Shapiro back at you. Glad you could join us. Chris Wien in studio.
Because it's Monday.
Oh, that's right. We got a lot to get to. A lot to go over. We always have a lot to go over on the show, but I hope everybody had a great weekend out there. Oh, we'll get to my weekend. Don't worry. Turn your mic off, C-Win, because that mic's on and you're fiddling around. There you go. All right. Are you in place?
Johnny's got me warmed up over here, right? Yeah.
Cool. Well, we do have
we got a little sightline thing we're doing here with Brian Shapiro, our host here, so I got to make sure I'm in the right spot.
Well, we have a lot to get to, by the way. Over the weekend, saw a little PGA Tour golf. We'll get to that. By the way, a UNLV junior, 20 years old. His name is Jack Trent. Top 30 finish, which is unbelievable.
Shot 14 under. Pretty impressive.
Crazy. So we'll get to that. Great finish to the Shriners, too. There was a playoff, so we'll get to that coming up in a little bit. Well, Trump and his tax returns. Well, it's a loss for Donald Trump. We will explain what that means coming up in a little bit. And this is a really, really weird story. Remember we were talking about the Geiger case? This is the Dallas cop who killed an innocent man thinking that she walked into her own apartment. Well, a key witness in that case, and there was going to be another hearing involving a lawsuit with the police department. This is a key witness that lived across from this man who lost his life, was shot and killed over the weekend. And some people are saying there might be some shenanigans going on. This is really bizarre. So we're going to get into that coming up a little bit. Also, a Joker scare. We'll explain what that means coming up here in a little bit. As I mentioned, we are going to go over the Shriners Hospital for Children's Open. UNLV football. You want to talk about one of the worst beats you could ever have in a college football game. We're going to talk about that coming up in a little bit. And yes, folks, UNLV did lose. We'll get to that coming up in a little bit as well. But C-Win had a really good weekend, had a lot of fun, caught a couple great concerts. So last night, had a chance to catch Stone Temple Pilots, obviously without the late Scott Weiland, so it's not the same. But I was over there at the Joint, and it was a fun show. So a lot to get to with the night last night. But I'll start by this. So I met up with a couple friends. Our producer, Jason, a couple other friends of mine. We show up to the show, and we find out at 8 p.m. that STP isn't going on stage till like 10:40. So what are we going to do? Are we going to sit down and watch a couple opening bands that I've never heard of before perform? No, of course not. So we go and we get some food, and I'm hanging out with one of my friends, Mike. I won't say his last name, but I'm hanging out with one of somebody, Mike, and he brings a date. This date looks like a fake Barbie doll, for lack of a better term. You know, she fits the description. She's got blonde hair, plastic surgery, high heels. You know, she fits that sort of description. So we go to the restaurant, right? And there's 6 of us. The bill comes. And I'm getting into this, I shouldn't say I'm getting, she's getting into this huge argument with my friend Mike about the bill, because Mike is trying to split up the bill and all that. And they're arguing and yelling about how to split up the bill. And I swear to you, the whole casino could have heard them screaming at the top of their lungs. This girl gets up and pays the entire bill herself. Gets back to the table, and my friend Mike was irate and embarrassed. You know, it's your date, and the female's getting up and paying. You know, it makes the man, I guess,
I don't understand. How does it
hurt.
get to the point where she goes and ends up paying the entire bill? What part of the argument/discussion would steer that in that direction?
He made a big deal about the bill instead of paying it all himself.
Right.
He said he couldn't read. He needed his glasses. He couldn't read everything. That's what he said. Yeah. So she got so frustrated that she gets up, she pays the bill, she goes back to the table, and he lost his mind. He went crazy. Okay,
he has a lot of pride. He does.
Keep in mind,
he's a prideful guy, Brian.
Well, keep in mind, she already had about 3 or 4 drinks, so she's a little drunk. So that's how the night starts, right? They're not getting along. So we had a suite. We have a friend that works at the Hard Rock that gave us a suite. We had already been to the suite. Then we left and got dinner. We go back, and one of the opening bands is sitting in our suite. So we don't have any seats to sit down. So we get a security guard to come in, and the security guard, we show them our tickets, and she had to kick out the band. She kicked out She kicked out the opening band in a suite. Our producer Jason was here, so he can verify all this information.
Yeah, and you know what? We left. So we left our drinks there. When we found out STP wasn't going on until 10:40. When we decided to go get something to eat, we said, "Well, we ordered some drinks. Let's just leave them here in the suite." We came back. All the seats in the suite are filled by this opening band and their friends. Our drinks are gone. They took our drinks.
Wait. You guys already were partaking and whacking back those drinks, and
Correct.
They decided to finish them off?
Correct.
You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of Caddyshack. Remember the scene?
Yeah.
Where Judge Smales tips him, throws the change on the table and tips him. And so Michael, I can't remember his real name, but anyway, the caddy just throws back the rest of the judge's drink.
So Brian goes and says, "Look, I'm sorry to do this, but these guys are in our suite." And of course, what they did was they pulled the "Do you know who we are" card.
Right.
We heard. I don't know if you heard him, Brian,
of
but
course
I heard.
The response was, "No,
But
we
we're
don't
the
know
opening
who you are."
act. We're the opening act.
Yeah.
We're the opening band. And the security said, "I don't care. You this is not your suite. This is not your suite." So they took off.
So we kicked out the opening band. We sit in our seats. And then it gets more interesting because remember this girl I told you about that paid the bill? She is drunk out of her mind, and she's telling us stories about how she used to work at the Playboy Mansion, right? And she's giving us just these horrific stories. And my friend Mike, who's sitting to my right, he is in the worst mood possible because she won't shut up. He tells her to get lost, and she literally leaves for like an hour and a half. We don't know where she went.
I was getting concerned. To be honest.
I did see the photo someone posted on social media. Was she wearing like a fluorescent green or yellow like tube dress?
Yes.
I was intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
So STP hits the stage, and by the way, it was a great show. It was an awesome show.
You forgot
the new lead singer is really good then?
Very
you guys
good.
liked it?
Yeah, it was good. No, real quick, you forgot to mention what she was doing when she was gone for that hour and a half.
Oh, why don't you explain that?
I mean, she came back and she said, "Oh my God, where have you been? We were all worried about you." And she says, "Well, here's what I was doing." And she showed me her phone. And it had a video of an old man spanking her with his cane.
That's true, actually. Keep in
Just
mind,
your typical Sunday night in Vegas for you guys, right? Down
keep
just
in
off
mind,
the strip.
she's supposed to be on a date, okay? So
Yes.
so my friend Mike is just livid. He's irate. So the show is over. And by the way, the show was fantastic. And why don't you say who the celebrity guest was that
So during the encore, none other than Johnny Depp.
No.
Johnny
Depp
came out
To
to
get
play,
up on stage and actually do
played
anything
guitar.
on stage?
played 2 songs with him.
Really?
Yep.
Very, very cool. So anyway, it was a great show.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it
So
was very
we're
cool.
leaving the suite. And keep in mind, this is a girl who fits the Barbie doll look, okay? She's wearing a very low-cut dress, very revealing. She has a nice body. She's attractive. Very
Shades
attractive.
of Jessica
Shocker.
Rabbit
Yeah.
from
So-
the 80s. Remember that
so-
movie?
yes, I do.
Shades of Jessica Rabbit.
So we walk out of the suite, and it was like a scene from the porn expo or the porn convention. There's literally 20 guys just staring at her and then asking her for pictures. Keep in mind, she's supposed to be on a date with my friend. She's flirting with everybody. She's taking pictures with everybody. She's inebriated. She's drunk. Okay? So this lasts for 10 minutes. My friend Mike just leaves. He just leaves. He's like, okay, I'm going. He's so angry at this point. He just leaves. Then we go downstairs. It continues, and then he comes back, and he's so livid. He's so angry. And this is a girl that's telling stories about how she has boob implants. She's talking about her butt implants. I mean, it's a never-ending night. It was just hilarious and weird at the same time. But it was, I guess you could say, it was a typical Vegas night.
I'm not shocked by any stretch of the imagination at any of these details that you guys have put
The
forth
thing
here.
is, Chris, you have to understand, this woman is not a celebrity. She's not.
But
okay.
she clearly thinks that she is. The world revolves around her, right, Steiner?
She had a lot of confidence. People reacted to her as if she were a celebrity. I mean, the attention that she drew. She had dozens of men wanting to take photos with her. They don't even know who she is. It's just her. She stood out.
Right.
And it was just, I've never seen anything like that.
It was pretty crazy. It was a pretty crazy night.
We'll try to get her picture up on the Vegas Take Twitter page.
Yeah, we will. That would be fun.
Yeah.
But it was.
You got the picture?
I did see the picture. I saw the
Forward
picture.
it to me.
I think it was a video that I want to believe Mike posted a video of her doing a little swerve dance going on
let's get-
up
we'll-
in
we'll-
the suite. It might have been in the
we'll
suite.
try to get that up
where
so you
where your drinks were bogarted.
Yeah. So that was an interesting evening. I did not get a chance to go to the UNLV football game, but Chris, I know you were there.
Yes.
Jason, I know you were there.
We were.
So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about this because I did hear about what happened and I listened to it on the radio. So UNLV played Boise State this weekend, And Boise State's a top 20 team in the country. They're very, very good. Now, it's not a surprise to anybody that Boise State won the game, but we're talking about the spread right now. So the spread was around 24, my understanding.
Started at 23.5.
Yeah,
then
it was,
went to
most of the week it was at 23.5. I believe it closed out at 24.
Yeah.
So right around that number, basically.
So I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, UNLV was down 18 points, right, with 1 minute to go in the game. Again, let me repeat that. UNLV is down 18 points with 1 minute to go. So that's a 3-score game. It's a 3-score game. And why would you try an onside kick when you're down 3 possessions in a minute is beyond me. I've never really seen anything like that before. Maybe if there's like 7 or 8 minutes to go, but 1 minute to go, it just doesn't make any sense. So UNLV tries the onside kick. Boise State not only recovers it, you're told when you recover an onside kick in that situation, just get down and then take a knee. The game's over. So what Boise State does is they run the football and they almost put it in there for a touchdown. But even then you're thinking to yourself, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so let me set this up for you so you can understand this, the reason behind it. So they missed the extra point after UNLV scored to basically almost ensure that if they make the extra point, they ensure that they cover, okay, or that they at least push if it lands on 24. Okay, if for some reason Boise State were to score. Now the reason UNLV onside kick, look, it's absolutely understandable because you're still trying to. You still have a chance. If you onside kick, you get the ball back, obviously. So I had no issue whatsoever with UNLV trying the onside kick. What was extraordinary, Brian, is that they onside kick, right? And Boise State, the way things transpired, they picked the ball up and they ran it all the way down inside the 5-yard line. Okay, now if Boise State gets tackled or something happens out, say the 30 or 40-yard line, then yes, everything just goes away. Boise State's not going to try to score. There's not enough time on the clock where UNLV can, call enough timeouts to extend the game. So basically Boise State would have just basically ran like 3 plays and the game would have been over. But because they were inside the 5-yard line, and theoretically UNLV could have stopped the clock, so Boise State said, "Hey, the heck with it. We're going to score a touchdown," and that's exactly what they did.
It's horrible.
So the combination of UNLV missing the extra point, which rarely happens at any level, college, high school, or the NFL, that was the stinger for people who had UNLV plus the 23.5 or plus the 24, right? That was why it was so extraordinary.
So under a minute to go.
It wasn't extraordinary that Boise, but the point I'm trying to make is it wasn't extraordinary that Boise scored the touchdown. It was just the fact that, the circumstances played out with the onside kick where they were able to return it inside the 5-yard line because that's why Boise State was able to go in for the touchdown.
Well, I hate to say it, but anybody who bet UNLV deserved to lose because you shouldn't be betting on UNLV. Oh, look who graced us with his presence.
And speaking of which, in the studio was someone who was directly affected by the outcome there at Sam Boyd Stadium on Saturday, right,
JD
JD?
Sharp has graced us all with his presence this morning. JD, thank you for being here.
Yeah,
How are you?
I had food poisoning on Friday. It was just an absolute awful experience for me. I let my house guest cook me food and didn't work out very well for me. I trusted her to watch my meat and my chicken together as they turned over, and that didn't happen. Yeah, I had.
Is your house? Hold on a second.
So then,
is your house?
my house guest.
So you were
house
sick, and
guest.
so you were tore up on Friday, of course, with physical issues, and then, of course, we moved to Saturday.
Right.
All right, hold on.
What
Stop.
happened then? Saturday?
I've had a horrible weekend beat-wise.
Everybody, stop. Rewind. Stop for a second. Hold on. What do you mean you have a house guest? What does that mean? Who is that? What do you mean you have a house guest? Is it a maid?
I have someone staying at my house who has been for the last month, who's a friend of my wife.
Is she attractive?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay,
but she has been staying at my house.
Okay, so obviously the answer is yes. Because if she wasn't attractive, you wouldn't have a problem saying it.
I'm just not going to answer that question.
No, well, that's fine. I answered it for you. Okay, so does she pay rent?
I'm not going to answer that question either, Brian.
Okay, so obviously the answer to that question is no. So you have an attractive woman at your house who's not paying rent.
Anyways, that particular person, regardless of her financial situation or how she compensates me or the way that she looks,
wait, what do you mean that's
is irrelevant to the conversation?
It's totally irrelevant to the
No, it's
conversation.
completely. What do you mean how she compensates you? What is that supposed to mean?
In general, like I'm not.
Hey,
what?
you're putting thoughts in our heads
I understand.
here, JD.
I'm not trying to create inception here. I'm just
What do you
saying.
mean how she compensates you?
I let her look at my food and watch it. And
Yes.
I don't believe
So you're
that
saying she poisoned you? Is that what
I
you're
don't
saying?
think she poisoned me, but I believe that she probably turned it over too quickly a couple of times, or she didn't cook it all the way through. But I ate the meal. I woke up at 4
What
o'clock
was it,
in
by
the
the way?
morning.
What was the food?
It was chicken and a little bit of hamburger, kind of mixed together with
Maybe
some
it
spinach.
wasn't cooked chicken. Did you ever think of that?
Oh, something definitely wasn't cooked properly. I understand, but I also saw that I shop at Target a lot, and Target had a big E. coli recall.
I have
in-
another
in the-
question
in the
for you.
last few weeks, and I could have been part of that as well, which would have been very exciting. But I've been feeling like total crap since Friday. I do feel a little better
Did
today.
anybody get food poison other than you in your house?
No, just me.
So maybe you're just a sick human being, and it has nothing to do with
Yeah,
the food.
I may have a compromised immune system, Brian.
It's possible.
It's highly unlikely.
Have you gotten checked? Have you gotten your blood work done or anything like that? I'm just saying, I care about you.
I really appreciate that, Brian. And yes, I have got my blood work done. And
Who's to know that
I'm okay.
maybe somebody targeted you? You look like you've lost like 5 pounds. I'm not even kidding.
Do I?
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah. I'm actually pretty.
So have you been?
Dr.
pretty decent
Shapiro over
shape
here
right
with his
now.
full-blooded analysis of you, JD.
So
right
wow,
here.
JD, have you been working out? You look great. No, my house guest who's attractive who doesn't pay rent, gave me food poisoning.
Anyways, I'm not happy. I missed a great Shriners Open. And you actually talked me out of betting Kevin Na future. Thanks for that, by the way, Brian. I would have put 100 on that to win 10,000.
I didn't think Kevin.
Oh,
was
I
gonna
know.
win.
You clearly didn't, and that cost me 10 grand. So congrats there. So I missed the Shriners Open, and I had UNLV plus 24 in this game,
It sounds like you had a great weekend.
and then I had the Titans minus 3. And the Titans yesterday missed 4 field goals and had 2 touchdowns taken away by penalty.
Wait, I want to go back to your house guest. Can we talk about that for an hour?
I
Is
think
that
I'm
all
finished with that.
right? Fine, fair enough. Well, we're glad you're here. We're glad you made it. Not on time, but thank you for being here. We appreciate that. And I feel bad for you because food poisoning is not something to joke around about. It's very bad. Did you have to go to the hospital?
No, I didn't. I had a bunch of Pedialyte.
How do you know you had food poisoning?
Chicken broth. I was definitely food poisoning. I've
Maybe
had
just a stomach
No,
virus.
I've had it a couple of times. I get it probably every 2 or 3 years.
Okay, so let me know this before we move on here. How many times do you think you used the restroom and went to the bathroom over the course of the last 3 days? Be honest, don't lie.
See win over under here. Give me something.
I think I'm going to go right around 15 times.
I would say probably 17, 19 times.
Oh, right there.
That's a
Lined it up.
pretty good line.
You know why I knew that? Because
Yeah.
I have experience with food poisoning. It is not fun. It's atrocious.
How
No,
much?
it's awful.
Be honest. How much toilet paper do you think you used in a 24-hour, 48-hour span?
I would say a 72-hour span, and I'm guessing probably 3.5 rolls.
Wow, that's a lot of
Yeah,
rolls.
it was serious business.
That's a lot of toilet paper. Wow. Well, I feel bad for you. That's horrible. My advice to you is if you're going to get a house guest that's going to quote unquote compensate you, make sure they know how to cook.
Right, culinary skills.
That's very important.
That's the next requirement for my house guests.
That's extremely important. So when you told her you had food poisoning, does she feel guilty? Does she say sorry? Does she get you medicine? Does she compensate you in that way?
I would assume so, but I didn't lay any blame on her for this.
Well, you should have.
Okay? No,
You should have.
bottom
You
line,
absolutely should have.
bottom line, I should have watched my own food, and I didn't. I was on my computer working on
What
some
do you
stuff.
mean watch your food? That's not your fault. You don't watch your food. You don't know.
but I should have gone back every 4 or 5 minutes and turned it and made sure that it was properly cooked, and I didn't do that. So that's on me for doing it.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Now you're being ridiculous. You're saying somebody's cooking you dinner and you need to go every 4 or 5 minutes and watch the food?
No,
That's insane.
I cooked my own dinner.
Oh, well, I thought she cooked it.
No, she was in the room, and I left the room, and so because I left the room, she tried to make sure that it was cooked properly or that it didn't burn or whatever it was.
Do you think she might have? We hear people that spike drinks. Do you think she spiked your food?
That would be a questionable decision on her part.
That's
for
a
number of
felony,
reasons.
isn't it?
That's a number of things, but yes,
Okay.
I don't believe that happened.
Okay, but be honest.
I'll be very surprised if that took place.
Do you think there's at least a 5% chance that could have happened?
I'm going to say 0. No, 0%.
0?
0% chance.
How do you know that? How well do you know this girl? Be honest.
Brian, are you a conspiracy theorist?
Yes.
How
when it comes to your personal life, I absolutely am.
So
Yes.
you're a conspiracy theorist about my personal life, but you are ragging on every single conservative conspiracy theorist that calls into the show.
Well,
How does that work?
Because this is fun.
I'm very confused. Oh, okay.
Because this is fun.
No, because it's Brian and because it's
No,
the
because
caller.
this
It's a
is
very
funny.
narrow spectrum that he has here, JD, when it comes to your personal life.
I understand.
Yes.
I got you.
So you have somebody living at your place, rent-free, that might have gotten you sick and didn't even offer to get you something to make you feel better. Well, that sounds like a great house guest to me. Sounds like a great deal. Sounds like a great. I'm sorry, I enjoy in your misery. That's the only reason why I'm enjoying this conversation. I enjoy the fact that you've been miserable. By the way, I am sorry about the UNLV loss to you. Okay, but I don't feel bad for you. Why on earth would you take UNLV against one of the top teams in the country?
Because they're not that good. Boise State is not that good. Only reason they covered that spread is because they had to, because they have to show the the New Year's committee.
Yep.
They could possibly be part of the BCS or the playoff conversation.
That's actually true because Mark Anderson told me the same
Absolutely,
thing.
it's 100% true.
Yeah.
But bottom line, Tony Sanchez should not have kicked an onside kick down 18 points.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
With a kicker that's never kicked one in his life. It was the worst onside kick I've ever seen in my entire life. The ball was taken, and Oblad looked fine. Oblad looked okay. The defense actually looked pretty decent. I like Javin White playing safety. He looked better than he did at linebacker typically. Charles Williams played okay. The Magyar played all right.
the Chad Magyar.
Chad Magyar
the
played
running
okay.
back
It kind of reminds
back healthy.
Kind of reminds me of Zach Lyon a little bit. He played okay, and that's dead. That's a color to his skin type of thing. But yes, I'm shocked that they kicked that onside kick and they returned it to the 3-yard line, and then Brian Harsin, the prick that he is, decided to run it in. That really pissed me off. And you know what sucked even worse? I would have pushed the bet, but they missed the extra point after they scored the touchdown to be down 17.
That was
listen,
the big key, right? Was the
was
extra
huge,
point.
man.
Listen, you sound very upset this morning, but
I'm not pleased about it.
it's understandable though because you had food poisoning, you had a horrible betting weekend.
I missed the golf, and you talked me out of making $10,000.
I don't even remember talking you out of that. By the way,
Of course you do.
I really don't. But I liked Patrick Cantley to win. Anyway, we'll get to the PGA. We're all over the place. We'll get to the PGA, and certainly to me the best story of Shriners is this kid Jack Trent, who's 20 years old, who plays for UNLV, a junior who had a top 30 finish in this tournament, which is unbelievable. We're going to try to get him on the show today too, but it's really a fantastic story. So among all that other stuff, yes, there is some political news to get to, and I promise you we will get to that coming up here in just a few minutes. Michael Avenatti on Friday was attacked by Tucker Carlson and one of his guests again on CNN. So we're going to play a little bit of audio from you there. It's unbelievable, and it's the problem when people spread rumors and stuff about people, and it's not true, and it goes all over social media. It goes on national television. So Friday night was no exception to that. So we're going to talk about that coming up here in just a little bit. And who's Trump going after now? What are his latest tweets? The deflection in regards to Ukraine. The fact that we're learning more information, that there could be a second whistleblower. We will get to that coming up in a little bit. So a lot to get to when it comes to Donald Trump. Don't worry, we will get to that. I promise you we will. And we got Lee Goldberg coming in studio for the GCI guys in hour number 3. That little girl Greta, who wants climate change. There is a high school science teacher that has threatened her life. He is losing his job for it. We will get to that coming up as well. It is unbelievable. So we'll get to that. Much, much more. A lot to get to. Chris Wynn in studio on a Monday. J.D. Sharp is back from food poisoning. He came off the bench. He's not 100%, but I think he's 90%. We'll get to that and much, much more when we come back. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON.